Welcome, welcome, welcome to Caffeinated Advice. My name is Jay Johns, founder and CEO of 3R Interactive. And yeah, today, as we have our caffeinated conversation with each other, hopefully you have your coffee, just as I have my monster cup here. I want to talk about the importance of a minimal viable product, commonly referred to as an MVP. So, why is it important? Let me take a sip here. I believe this is important for a lot of different reasons, primarily because you don't really know what your customers want just yet. Almost always, you don't know what your customers want. You're going to be creating things, you're going to be building prototypes, you're going to be building all this stuff. And what people fall in the trap of doing is building what they want to see or what the team wants to see, right? The downside to that is you are not your customer. So you don't know what they're willing to pay for, which is the biggest thing. If you're trying to make something that makes money, and not just like sort of an art project kind of a thing, then you need to understand that there's a big difference between people liking something and people being willing to pay money for it. And so um, what can easily happen is you can start making decisions based on what you want to see, what your immediate team wants to see, but that is not always, almost never, a reflection of what your actual customer base would want or not want, or whatever it is that you're trying to build. So the benefit of a minimal viable product, particularly one where you're not putting any code into it yet, you're making prototypes out of something like Adobe XD or Framer or Sketch, I think that's what it's called. There's a handful of them out there now where you can make versions of products, digital products, without having to put any code into it yet. So you can kind of get a feel for the functionality of it, the look and feel of it. And you can start getting feedback from customers, stakeholders, all these other things without a super added expense. Because once you start getting code involved and you get programmers involved, it's going to start being tens of thousands of dollars. And then if you have to make changes, because almost always you have to, as soon as you make something and you put it in front of somebody, especially people who are your ideal customers, they're going to start giving you feedback and you're going to have to make some changes. So instead of spending tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on a coded prototype that involves programming and then have to change it anyway, go through these processes of doing things with the non-code situation. As I mentioned, we use Adobe XD for the most part here. There's quite a few other products out there, and there's even some that are sort of a bridge between the coded and non-coded. So that way you can still do things like, let me give you an example. So with Adobe XD, one of the things that's a little bit of a downside is that there's some, like, you can sort of see the Wizard of Oz effect, in that you can't really, if you see like a sign-in screen, you can't actually hit one of those boxes and then type anything. That doesn't do anything. It's all just sort of, smoke and mirrors, because there's no actual code involved. But there are tools out there like Framer and I'm blanking out on the other ones out there that allow you to put some code into it. So that way you can actually do those things where you can get people's identification if they want to put it in there. You can actually save some of this stuff in a database, but more importantly, you can hand over the art assets like you would with Adobe XD, but also you can hand over the small code that you've already built or had someone build, so that the programmers are already light years ahead in order to know where to go moving forward. That being said, yes, user testing is super important, and that's a major reason for having a minimal viable product. Yet another really important reason is that it gives the developers a blueprint for where you want to go. So often, people will come to software developers, and because this isn't their industry, especially the non-technical business owners, they'll say, I want a product that does XYZ thing. Well, there's so many small decisions and so many little things that that are in the creation of that, where you're just sort of relying on the software developer to make those choices for you. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what could end up happening is time and effort put into coding, which you then have to change. So if you start with the process of building it with the digital assets in mind, like artwork and little graphic designy kinds of things, you can start to get a feel for the layout or how the user experience is and all that stuff. And then if you make changes, you're just changing artwork. You're not changing code. You're not changing, like you're not having to mess around with things like databases and all this. I mean, it just gets really, really nuts. So, um, what I would say is those are two major reasons why you're going to want to have a minimal viable product, an MVP. You also, as a third major option, is that you can start taking this to potential investors. If you are looking for investment to get like a bigger version of your product made to scale faster and things like that, you can then have a visual tool that you can help pitch your idea. So it not only benefits as a blueprint for your developers, but it's also a blueprint for potential investors and um, potential customers. Because yeah, you might have had some user testers, and they might give you certain feedback, but you can then also have something that you can put up as marketing material for what this could be. So you can put stuff like on a website, you can put stuff in an advertisement, you can put visuals kind of all over the place and get people excited, right? And generate that interest. And then you can do things like have people sign up for beta versions. You can have people sign up for pre-orders. You can have people sign up just for, you know, getting sort of the weekly or monthly updates, which all goes towards metrics, which all helps things like venture capital. And for you to know, hey, the market that I thought was there is actually there. And it's validating. So those are three real major reasons why you want to have a minimal viable product. And don't spend a lot of money on this, meaning don't go get a coded version of it that's going to be tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. Spend a few $1,000s to get a minimal viable product that's a non-coded prototype, an interactive prototype. So maybe you end up spending a few thousand, but it's not tens of thousands. And you can then so the same amount of money you would take to pay one programmer or one team to build your MVP that has code involved, you can make many versions of the interactive prototype, get user testing, have a bunch of feedback, know exactly where you're going to go. And that's just going to do nothing but springboard you to the future. So that's my 2 cents. I really, really believe in minimal viable products. I hope any new entrepreneurs out there or anyone who's starting another tech project will go down the path of creating minimal viable products, especially the interactive prototypes that don't involve code, or at least very little. And definitely, if anyone has any questions on all this stuff, feel free to reach out to me. There should be, my email is just jay at 3rinteractive.com. You can go to our website, 3rinteractive.com, and check out the tech strategy side of our company. And just essentially, I want everyone to succeed. So if I can help you, even if it's just having a conversation and giving you some advice, I'm totally down to do that. So I guess I'm going to end this by saying, I look forward to our next caffeinated advice conversation. And I hope the rest of you have a great rest of your day.